We left off with all of our pieces on a board drying out. And what we wanted to do is wait until they're leather hard. When you pick up a piece of clay that's leather hard, it doesn't flop. You can still bend it though. So that's important because we're going to bend these sides around that curve. So it's quite a bit more dry. This side had a line on it, which as often happens in case, instead of me trying to get rid of that line, I said that's going to be part of the design. So I tried to mimic that line on the other piece. So now I have a diagonal line on both pieces. This is going to be the bottom of my vase. This is going to be the top. I'm going to take this one, put it on another board, and let it continue to dry. I want the top piece to be a little bit more than leather hard. So I have the outside of the vase is laying down on the board. At this point, I'm going to put it together. We'll start with this. We're going to scratch and slip all the edges that are beveled. And I think I forgot to tell you on these strips that are going to be the side of the vase, go ahead and make one end beveled. So give it a nice straight cut, line up your ruler with the side of the clay. So you know you have a 45-degree angle down here. Cut it at the 45-degree angle, both of the sides. So we'll do that at the same time. Get this one a nice cut down here at the bottom. Okay, that's pretty hard. And bevel it. So we go back to our bevel tool, start at the top, come down to the bottom. And now these are the bottom of the sides. This is the bottom being the one that's going to lay on the table. I have scratched going one way with my scratch tool. So I tend to go kind of 45-degree angle, 45-degree angle. Same over here. It's kind of hard to get these too deep. Depending on how dry your clay is, it might be hard to get them deep enough. But don't be afraid to kind of dig in, and you know, that's what's going to hold the piece together. The slip is going to go into those sides, into those grooves, and form the bond of the joint. Okay, this base piece, again, it also has one end that's beveled. We don't do the other end because we don't know exactly how long it's going to be at this point. Okay, and I'll do these. Any questions about scratch and slip? While I go ahead and do these, it's a repetitive, can be kind of you know, relaxing. Just try and scrape it up. You are bound to get little crumbs. Go ahead and scratch the bottom of that side piece as well. Hopefully you can see a little of how much I'm putting in there. In this particular case, it doesn't matter if you go into the inside of the vase and have a few scratch marks, because after all, nobody's going to see the inside of this vase. If it were going to be an open vessel, that might make a difference. But since it's going to be the inside of a vase, these kind of scratch marks that might show, we won't have to do anything with them. Okay, so now I'm going to start the joining process, and I need my slip to be able to cement these pieces together. You got some slip, and ideally it should be about heavy cream or yogurt. I guess heavy cream is about right. I would get rid of these pieces of clay, the little ones that came off. I'm actually going to start on a new board here, and I'm going to lay down what will be the back of the vase. And I'm going to take my slip, make sure it's nice and creamy. I like to use a paintbrush for putting that on. And you really can't get too much. It will ooze out and then it can be wiped off. I'm going to go ahead and put it on the two sides. I'm going to wait a minute about the bottom, but I'm going to put the two sides will now have slip on them. Again, I'll wipe off those crumbs, lay it down, and take one of the side pieces and put slip on it. I'm just going to put it on one side at this point. So I'm going to build this vase laying down. It will be laying on its back, not standing up. I'm ready to take this piece. Here's my bottom. Even it up with this bottom. And I'm evening it with the 45-degree angle point. Hopefully you can see that. I'm going to push that together so that the 45-degree angles really snug up with each other. I'm holding this piece. Still, I'm applying pressure on the outside piece. I have it on my banding wheel so that I can easily change the direction. Here, now I'm going to start going on this curve, and I'm going to ease this straight line into the curve of the vase. So this has been eased. I want to give it a nice 45-degree angles. So this is standing up at a 45-degree angle. You can see from the base. I want this one standing straight up. I don't want it going in or out, but standing straight up. It, as you can see, the slip oozes out. Doesn't hurt a thing, just leave it there. You can brush it if you want to, but it doesn't hurt a thing. So I'm going to take the bottom of my second side, make sure that I know which side to put the slip on, and put slip on that side of the piece that will be the second side of the vase. We didn't measure these exactly because we don't care if the top comes together exactly at this point. We can cut it. But we do want, here I'm going to put this on the bottom, trying to even it with the bottom of the vase, holding the vase and applying pressure on the outside so that those 45-degree angles go together. Holding it, applying pressure. Now that one wanted to move in. So you really should have now the same shape, only an inch or so higher. And that is the construction of, about half of the construction of the vase. Okay. Just give that a little whirl there. We're going to come back to the outside corners in a minute. But at this point, I'm ready to put on the front of the vase. This is the back of the vase. The reason I've been letting it dry is I want it to be dry enough that when it lays over here, it doesn't want to fall down in the middle. So I want to make sure it's nice and dry. So I'm going to go ahead and apply slip to these two sides. And I'll go get the front of the vase. I happen to have it in front of a fan. This particular piece I have not slipped yet. I'm sorry, we're getting ready to slip it. I have not scored or beveled it yet. So I'm going to go ahead and bevel it. Both sides, the bottom. Score it. It's nice and firm. I don't know if we'll be able to tell in the video, but it should be a little bit firmer than the other pieces. You can do this with a fork. There are a lot of tools that can be used for this scratching process. Just make sure you've got going in both directions and all the way to the top here. Okay, this one is ready. See, it's really doesn't even want to bend. It probably could still bend, but we're not going to make it bend. We want it to lay flat. I'm going to go ahead and put slip on both sides. So we're basically going to finish our box that is a vase. Okay, I'm going to start at the bottom. Again, try to get that bottom lined up with the other piece that's laying on the ground here. Start on one side and try and push those 45-degree angles together. The other side is doing well. Some see it fit right in. Sometimes that side may have collapsed in and you need to move it out a little bit. This one, it needs to be moved in a little bit. You can do it with your thumb, fingers. This is going to be a little bit in, so before I tack it down, I'm going to move that out a little. Okay, so I moved it out so I get the points of that bevel coming together. And I've got a nice side here where the points of the bevel are coming together. I can continue to work it with my fingers, or I can take a roller. The kind of roller that you all have in your kit is called a pony roller. I don't know why, but the idea is that, and it will get slip on it. The slip's, you're applying pressure, the slip's going to come out from that seam. wipe it off every so often, that you apply pressure both equally from the top and the sides. So if I go on the side, next I want to go on the top. And that point gets more of a sharp edge to it. And you know that the whole 45-degree bevel there is pushing together. It's a nice strong seam at this point. Up here, you can see it's not quite as pushed together. I'm going to ease it, and it's pretty dry, so I might even put a little slip on it to ease it together. But before I go too much further, I'm going to check the other side. So like I said, this is now a pretty strong structure. I can carefully pick it up. And if I wanted to, it would have been a good idea to put down newspaper. I'm going to put it on a clean surface at least. And try and now look at this side and apply the pressure on the outside, the pressure on the top, pressure on the outside, and pressure on the top, and even right on the seam edge till it gets to be looking like a nice point. This is some goop that came out. Clean it off a little bit with my finger or with a rib. Just clean that off a little. Make it a sharp corner. Okay. Same over here, some pressure on the outside. Pressure on the inside. If it's looking pretty good, just clean it up. And that is looking pretty good. Final cleanup will be in a little bit, but that's looking pretty good. I'm going to turn it back over and do the bottom. I'm going to first do this one more time. Looking better. I'm taking off some crumbs and I'm taking off some slip. I'm not taking much clay off, although I am taking some clay off. When I start again with the rib, I want to make sure that it's clean. So every time you use it, just get in the habit of cleaning that clay off. Okay, if you can see at the bottom, we have a nice square box. And this is our bottom piece. So we want that piece to fit in there. Now's the time to measure it and see how long it should be. I can see that that is about the length I want. I'm going to go ahead and cut it there and bevel it and try it again. It's a lot easier to cut off again than to try and put clay on there. So as you can see, it's still a little bit long. I hope you can see that here. It's still a little bit long. So I'm going to cut it again and bevel it again. Trying to keep that 45 degrees. It's 45 degrees everywhere. The corners, the bevel, etc. Okay. I'm willing to try that for the bottom. So basically, I want to, everything is scratched except for this last corner. I mean side of the bottom. That's already been scratched. I'm going to go ahead and put slip on it. When you put slip on something, you don't have to put them together right away. You can wait a little bit You can actually let it sit until the shine comes off of the slip. That makes it, okay, I'm going to take this, holding it up at a better angle where I can get the slip in. Letting it dry just a little bit is better. I just never take the time to do that. Okay. This is fairly dry, but I want to push it into the 45-degree corners, angles. I want the two sides to be about the same, the top and the bottom to be about the same. Use my roller and my roller and my roller. You can see this looks pretty good here. Let's not worry about that right now, that corner. I'm going to reinforce that corner. But let's look at the other side. As I thought, it didn't quite go up high enough. I still have a, not a nice point there. So I need to roll and roll until I get them cemented together. And that looks pretty cemented. We got a nice sharp edge there. Okay. The four corners are not done. We want to set this vase up, and lo and behold, it's at an angle. I don't know if you can tell that. It's not sitting up straight. So I'm going to pound it a little bit. I'm just going to level it. And what I mean by level is, straight up and down. I don't want it going like this or like that. So I pound it until it's straight up and down. Then I pound the corners. I just go at that corner at a 45-degree angle and gently pound it. See how I got an angle there? Got a flat spot where I've pounded it, and it's caused that clay to all stick together. It's making a stronger corner. That's one reason I do it. It also is bringing the floor of the pot up off of the floor. So this makes the pot stand up a little off the surface. You can see that corner. And you're going to get a little bit of extra clay. You can try rolling it in. You can try cutting it off. You can try using your rib. But we are forcing some extra clay in that area. And the reason being for design purposes. And let's look at it from the other side. Not quite as much corner, so I need to pound it some more. You can also use your roller here. Okay, so again, I might have some extra clay that comes off. I want to check that seam, this seam, that seam. Everything looks pretty good. And I've got that's some extra clay there. I've got this corner that brings the pot off the floor a little bit. So check it visually. That's pretty good. It can certainly take some messing with to get it nice, but what you don't want to do, okay, is get crumbs or be pushing on these sides so that they fall in. So I'm going to leave it there. We're going to do the top of this and an extra base for stability in just a minute. Okay, I believe we're recording again. And while I was away, I thought about what kind of base and top I want for this. I like the line at an angle. So I try to incorporate design into all parts of the pot. I took a piece of paper and cut it not in a rectangle, but a trapezoid. And I thought that if that were the base of the pot, and the reason we're putting it on a base is for extra stability and also weight, because we don't want the flowers to weigh this over. And I kind of like the look of that. So I used this as a template, cut out a base, and then I made a smaller template thinking of the same angles, same type of rectangle, trapezoid, for the top. So I'm going to do this bottom first. It's very easy. Basically, let me put it on this board, which might be a little bit easier to see. There we go. I'm just going to scratch and slip this and scratch and slip it onto here. So this piece, I need to know which is my best side, and that will be up. So this is the best side. I'm going to round the edges. I could do anything I want at this point. I could put texture, you know, a lot of things here, but I just want a simple trapezoid. I do want to smooth out a little crease I see. Okay. I'm going to put it up here, center it visually from both sides. And when I think it's looking good, I'm going to take a pencil and mark the four sides of the pot, because that's where it will be sitting. So now I know where to scratch and slip on the base. So I'm going to use those guidelines. Those pencil marks for my scratching. And I'm going to put quite a bit of slip on here. I want a nice strong connection. And I actually want slip to kind of ooze out, because that will help, you won't see the seam so much. So I've got that. I do this same with the bottom of the pot. Scratch. First one direction, then the other. The bottom's getting pretty dry. It's a little bit harder to scratch, but that's fine. Doesn't need it's not going to be a huge amount of stress on this joint. Gravity will take care of keeping it together. Okay, easy peasy. Place it on there and scoot it around a little bit. Make sure it's centered where I like it from all angles. And that the pot is standing up straight. It was leaning again, so I'm just going to press into the bottom. You saw the extra slip come out. To me, it's standing up straight now, but I did have to push on the back on this side of the vase. So I want to make sure it stays like that. I'm wobbling it, making sure that's a very strong connection. Okay, it looks straight up and down. It looks this way. Okay, so I'm happy with that. I'm just going to take a paintbrush that is fairly soft, so I need to put it in water, but it's not wet, and smooth out that joint taking advantage of that slip for smoothing. clean my brush. Smooth that up a little bit. Okay. That can be the base. I'm happy with it. These brush marks I can get rid of when we actually are ready to do the final polishing of that piece. Now the top. What do we want to do with the top? Again, my idea was I'm going to put this back on the banding wheel. I'm going to lay it down again, and when I lay it down this time, I'm going to be careful to have this off of the board, otherwise it would mash it. So when I laid it down, that is hanging off the board. Okay. If I wanted to keep this vase straight across at the top, I would now trim these two sides to match the front and the back of the vase. So now I've got pretty much a square. It's not perfect. This looks like it needs to be mushed in a little bit, so I'm going to give it some slip to wet it on both the inside and the outside before I try to push that, but I'm going to try and push that in a little bit more. It sticks out more than the others. And that's probably from this strip being a little extra dry. But my idea was that perhaps I would take one of these two sizes and mimic the base. So that size is not going to work. It's not tall, it's not big enough. Barely covers up the pot. Let's see if this size, that would make a lip on the top of about 1/4 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch in this direction. If I look the other way, it's kind of big. So I'm going to have to make some design choices here. I think I'm going to make that a little bit smaller. I also notice that my this is a little bit taller, so I'm going to put that down on the board and cut it like so. Okay. To make this smaller, I would just cut it down and use my ruler. I wanted to keep the same angle, so I might have to play with it some, but I wanted the same angle as down here. You can see that's about the same angle, and that's what makes it stick out so far. I do have a place with a little not quite as smooth there. I can smooth that out or cut it off. I also can make this at an angle. Okay, so going back to the top of the pot, it doesn't have to fit on like this. It can fit on like that, like this. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to put it back down, lay it back down here, make sure that bottom is not on the, not a problem. And I'm going to make one side lower than the other. So let's just say that's my front. Then I need a straight edge from the back, which is higher. Could very easily be eyeballed. Does not need to be use a ruler. But I would tend to cut through this top piece Then stick the end of my knife in and cut down at this angle, which I just marked. Okay. Until I've cut off, basically, laving this. And again, let's straighten it out. Okay. Now on this, since I already have an angle here, I'm not going to have to bevel. I'm just going to have to place that. So I can go ahead and scratch it. What this top is going to do is strengthen these four corners. They are the weak points of the pot at this point. There are many ways to do it, but I'm choosing to do it. You can't see the top of the pot. I'm choosing to do it by putting this on the top of the pot. Okay, obviously I need to make a hole in it for the flowers to get through. I need to center it to my liking. So I'm going to do that with my fingers till I like the looks of it. Then again, take a pencil and mark on the top where the clay comes, so that I'll know where to scratch this, scratch and slip. So I got 3 lines. I can probably finesse the other one. So let me put it back on. Okay. I've got a line here, a line here. If I turn it around, line here, line here. Now I've got where I want to scratch and slip. But not only am I going to scratch and slip, I have to take out the clay the same size as this hole. This hole should be 1/4 inch in. So I've got my, I can use a pencil, I can use any sharp object. I'm just going to use one of these to measure in from there, 1/4 inch. Put a hole in the clay, straight down. Now that should be where I need to cut out my hole. So I'm going to connect the 2 holes with my knife point going down in the hole, going over to the next hole, over to the next hole, and you now have a piece of clay that can slip out and can be engineered to fit well with the pot. I made it a little bit smaller than I had to, you might notice. It would be hard to put clay back at this point. So I'm going to position it, see how I am compared with the corners of my pot. And I'm thinking I can just take some out. This way it's pretty good. Actually, it's pretty good both ways. So this top one might be the only place that I need to make it a little bit closer. So I'm going to work from the same side, the underside, and cut a little extra. Cut a little extra. When I'm ready, I'm not sure that I'm ready yet, but I will use any small round tool, could be a pencil point, to round out those corners. And I'll do it from both sides. Okay, so let me see how my fit is. I'm pleased with it. I might work a little bit more on making this bigger. You probably don't need to stand around for that. If it were perfect, I would simply turn it upside down, scratch the edges, slip, slip, place it together. That would be the last part of this vase. And that's all I wanted to show you for now. Thanks.